Hello there. I don't usually do this. Actually, I don't think I've done this at all so far, but I want to... I want to talk slightly about this. I guess this really just is a post-patch note. Post-mortem. And there's a lot that was changed in the patch notes. It's great. Some tweaks and changes to some champions. They added a shit mode that no one will probably ever really play in their right mind, which is Live Arena. They did add new stages for Gear Raid 1, 2, and 3. And, besides the fact that, as far as I can tell, no one has found a good solution for Gear Raid 3. Let's just go check real quick. But, there's virtually no one who's actually cleared this damn thing. Yeah. Yeah, so, the people who have cleared, I think, 23 used Alex. And I don't think anyone's actually cleared 24, but I might be wrong there. But I'm fine with that. This is something that we should actually be pushing for. So I'm quite happy to just sit around and wait until we have new champions, or better gear, or just find better approaches. So this is a good part of these patches in general. I will say, I guess it'll depend on what the drop rates are, but the fact that there doesn't seem to be any difference for the forge materials between 21 and 24 is kind of strange to me. But again, I'm assuming drop rates are up for many things, and we'll see more of the items that are actually interesting. If not, well, tough luck. I also wish I had time to start digging into those a bit more. For now, I really just haven't had the opportunity to. Between GvG and life, it's kind of the usual. Now, that being said, there's another thing that drained a whole bunch of time today. And we're going to ignore that for now. It's this tiny little section here, where allegedly they changed something related to Regen. Now, this reads as if the display right here was off. And that's fine, just update whatever is displaying here to reflect what's actually in game. But I had to redo my Abyss 1 runs on 2 different characters today. And it's not just redoing the runs, which arguably could have been understandable. It's that everyone was gaining rage significantly slower than anything else before. Same gear, same thing I've been running since Abyss, well, not since Abyss 1 has been released, but this is the same comp, the same champions, the same gear that I've been running for a very long time now. This isn't just me tripping. This is the entire guild that essentially had to redo their runs. This is basically, for all intents and purposes, this seems to be them having broken Rage Regen. Which is utterly fucked, because one can probably reasonably assume that, I haven't actually gone in to try this because I don't want to give myself another headache, but I'm pretty sure that the gear dungeons are now broken. That, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that the Helga strat is a lot more complicated to do for Gear Dungeon 2. And, maybe this is just isolated to Abyss 1. I would hope so. But I did do some quick testing on other Guild Boss ones, and it does seem that it is significantly slower to get Rage. I don't know why, exactly. And I would be interested to get you know, to see what Moonton actually answers on that. But point is, that was really messed up. Now, there's one final part about these patch notes that I'm really kind of pissed about. And it's this. Well, not this, but let's go down right here. This. Now, if you've watched probably any of my videos, you know that I mostly only play for GvG. And I spent a lot of time doing stuff for GvG. This is, I was doing this when I was only doing auto battles. This was back in January. And I spent, so that's roughly, you know, 16,500 runs. If we go back to the start of 221s, which is right about here, after I finished my Necros, which, you know, took another whole load Discord. That took another 3 months. Or, sorry, no, that was an entire month, never mind. Point is, I spent roughly... That's 320. I'm watching that. I don't want that. I spent about... I'm trying to remember when I... Because I stopped reporting these shortly after I actually got the level 5 flyers. And I kept on farming for a while for daggers. I'm pretty sure I stopped my daggers in mid to late February. So not too long ago. So that's a solid 4 months and a half. Just always doing 221. To get daggers and flyers to level 5. Now, let's go over here. Look at this. And realize that this was 150. That was another 50. So that's 200 ding shards that were just given out for... what? Summoning? So, there was a balance, more or less, in terms of GvG, where people actually had to grind to get the stuff. Now, we're dumpstering that, and basically telling everyone who farmed during all of this time, oh, you see all the time, effort, and resources you spent? Yeah, it was all worthless. Because, let's be real for 2 seconds here, right? Just... Right, let's say, you know, 20,000 runs amounts to times 22 stamina, right? Divide that by 200, and then times 60. We're looking at roughly 132,000 gems in effective stamina. Now, if I had put those gems towards summons, that's roughly 1,500 summons. And in 1,500 summons, you get more than enough to buy a copious amount of these demon soldiers. Now, my problem is not so much that they can be bought, it's that they can be bought at such a high amount. And that with, you know, with the way demon soldiers scale, getting to level 5 was very important. And anyone who spent a significant amount of resources striving for level 5 up to this point kind of got shafted. Everyone who did not, congratulations, you won. You can keep on summoning shards and buying demon soldiers from this shop, I guess, but it is concerning to me between the additions of the changes that were brought by these level 3 and level 7 passives are not a joke. They were already pretty huge, and they already significantly made offense in GvG easier. But now we're just tossing mountains of shards at people every week as long as they pay Moonton enough in shards. Summons. Which is a bit wild to me, but, you know. There was at least a time gate to farming soldiers. Like, you could whale as much as you wanted. You could only run so many gear raids in a day. And let me tell you, you're not running enough gear raids in a week to get 200 dagger shards. It's not happening. Unless you're extremely lucky. 200 scourges? You could probably do that within a day. 200 daggers or necros? No chance. And I guess most of this is just a rant. What really pisses me off is, yeah, this whole demon soldier thing. And Regen. What the hell's going on with that? So do double check your runs and possibly remake them, because they are probably currently broken. I would be actually kind of interested to see how many other gear raid and gear dungeon runs are broken for people, because, I mean, I guess I'll probably add in the comments if I do see any of mine are broken, because I'll be looking into some content normally tonight. But yeah, point is, cheers and have a nice one. Hopefully without demon soldier anger. Cheers.